is I'll be sharing my chart in just a minute. We'll do like more like a top-down analysis of um, we'll do a full top-down analysis on different currencies, and even forex, even crypto pairs as well. So I will start with analysis of some um, assets. We'll do Euro USD, USD JPY, GBP USD. We'll go to Bitcoin, maybe hyper liquid or Ethereum. Then we just go ahead and you just tell me what you want me to analyze, and I'll just do that. That is how we're going to flow. Again, be ready. If you have questions, there'll be time for it, and let me know the asset you want me to review. So I'll be sharing my screen at this point. Okay, so I'm receiving some notifications. I want to know if you can still hear me. If you can still hear me, just let me know in the comments. Let me know if you can see my screen as well as hear me. If you can hear me, just let me know in the comment. Just type it. Can you still hear me? All right, so let us just start. At any point, you can hear me. Okay, I think what happens is that it seems when I remove my face, the voice goes with it. I'm trying to remove my face so you guys have a full screen experience. But it seems that is not the case. Let me see what can happen. I believe I can be heard now. Can I be heard now? Okay, voice is back. So I wanted to give a full screen experience, but once I take out my face from here, the voice goes. So just leave it the way it is. It means you guys want to see all the corners, but let's just continue. So I'm marking out this particular top because I have a fair value gap here. I've marked it every single week. This particular top at this point. This is always my fair value gap. Where is so this is the imbalance. Then, but this is the weekly time frame, right? We want to know our trading range. Now, it is still obviously the same. This market looks bullish. It looks to have taken this and it looks really bullish. So the trading range is between here and here. At this very top here. Let's make this dash line. This top and this bottom is still where I want to trade. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go for this particular bottom here. This will be my trading range for this week. So it's just within this place I want to trade this week. And men looking at it this way, we are going to either go this way to break this high that we have here, or we go this way to break the low that we have here. This is the two possible scenarios that we're going to have. So we have chosen our range. The next thing we do is to go to daily and see what we can find. So outside the range, we have some points of interest. So we have uh, here, this particular bottom here. This is a demand zone. It's a demand zone. So the chart can possibly um, do this, can possibly come down, take this and go up. However, if you look at this, another scenario that can happen is the charts coming down from this particular point because it's currently in a demand zone. The chart can come from this point because it's a demand zone and break this structure. Then we keep on seeing it go this way because we have a break of structure at just this particular point. But however, we're not trading this far. What we want to do is swing and day trade within the week. In other words, within this particular range where we are. So therefore, what do? I'm not going to go to the a daily time frame, noting that this is a possible area of reversal, right? Because break of structure here or break of structure here, and the chart is in this zone or might be going lower. But we can't make that decision yet until we actually go deeper. Let's go to the 4 hours now, still on the Euro USD. I can now refine my points. If I go above here, I have a demand zone here. So in the 4 hours, this here is a supply zone rather. If we look at it's a supply zone because of the inefficiency we have here. The inefficiency is the fair value gap that we're having right here. So we have a fair value gap here, a supply zone here, and the whole of this of here looks pretty efficient. Maybe apart from this particular, it's actually efficient. The whole of the price action here looks efficient. Means that on the 4 hour, if the chart breaks above this, then we should see it attacking this place. Meaning that if the chart again breaks above this point, breaks above this point, then we can see it keep on going high. But if here is respected, then we can see it going lower. So that is what I'm seeing on the 4 hours. So the 4 hours, where am I looking to attack? I'm looking to attack this particular region. Now we are still moving up. So let's start marking some break of structure we're seeing here. First, on the higher time frame, we have a break of structure here. And if we have a break of structure to the downside, it means we want to keep going down. In other words, it means since we have a break of structure here, we want to go and pick supply and go lower. That is what it means. But from the 4 hour, we can see that we have not even gotten to um, this supply area. Okay, then if you still look here, we're having some break of structure to the upside. So you can see that here we have a break of structure at this particular point. And we did come down. We didn't tap properly into this demand, and we went up, and we did have another break of structure. We had another break of structure at this point here. Once we had a break of structure, we still had there is actually no, the whole of this is actually the the whole of this here is the origin of that. That is the demand zone that led to this break because of the fair value gap we have here. So this tapped in and it's moving up. It hasn't made a new break of structure. So what should I expect? This here, from here on the 4 hour, it's a demand zone, right? But this demand zone is not yet valid. Why? Because for it to be a demand zone, we are meant to break structure this way before it becomes a demand zone to go higher. And what we are seeing now is simply that this particular structure has not been broken. So I'm interested in seeing this go higher. I want to take a trade to see it go higher. But if it fails, let's say it didn't hold, then I'm not expecting this to hold. So if we have this not hold, so maybe I'll have a liquidity sweep here, then I should expect it to go lower. It shouldn't hold if that happened. However, I want to go here and investigate to see what is going to happen here. Obviously, I want to do this, okay? If I was to look at this like from this 4 hours, these are my two possible scenarios. I'll take this my tool and mark here. So this is a high, this is a low. We are still on the 4 hours. So this is what I would expect. I would expect if this is broken, we might go higher to this point. Then if this is not broken, then we might go lower to this particular point. We might go lower if we see this happening. Let's go to the 1 hour and do more investigation of this area because we've been ranging here. So this is the 1 hour, all right? What can you see on the 1 hour? So in the 1 hour, you can see that even though we have these are weekly targets, this is another target for reversal. And this is what we're seeing playing out in the 1 hour. Now, if we look at this to see the trade we can take today, I'm going to remove, okay, let me leave this. If we look at this particular point, that is this top from here to here is giving us equal highs. And when we have equal highs, it simply means liquidity is lying at those points. People are expecting reversal at this particular point. Let me remove this. So this simply tells me that, okay, if I have this broken, if I have this liquidity swept with a wick, again, if I have this liquidity swept with just a wick, so we have a wick this way, sweeping this liquidity. If I have just a wick sweeping the liquidity, then, and we have here broken, and we'll have this particular point broken, we're going down. It means that we are going down this way. However, if we have here broken with a candle body, not liquidity sweep, then we want to go higher. So this basically forms the basis of my trade today. What is the basis of my trade today? One, if we have a break to the downside, if I have a break to the downside, in other words, break to this downside, I want to go lower. It's as simple as that. If I have a break to the upside, if I have a liquidity sweep to the upside, liquidity sweep to the upside, I still want to go lower. But if I have a break to the upside, a proper break to the upside, then I want to go higher. So which of them am I going to trade today? So what I do is this. I'm going to have this top, which is my liquidity, and have this bottom, and simply just put an alert here. I'm going to create an alert here, also create an alert at this particular point, and just wait for what happens in this region. A break, I know what to do. A breakdown, I know what to do. But however, we're not done with our analysis. We're going to go down to 15 minutes and see what we can trade in 15 minutes. So this is the Asian. One thing I've noticed, okay, this Asian demand zone is already taken. So these are all efficient action. And even if it was an Asian demand, one thing I noticed is that for Euro USD, most times the um, Asian supply or and demand is not usually respected. They are always swept. They are always swept. But if we investigate further, okay, if we investigate further here, there is um, a supply here. It's a supply here, and we have a break of structure this way. I wouldn't necessarily consider this a break of structure because this didn't make a new high here. But I'm just going to mark it to this particular point. So internally, so on the swing trade part, I want to wait on the 1 hour. I want to wait a break here to take trade or a breakdown to take a trade. But here, this is what I want to do. Get back to where we are. So even here too, we still have liquidity lying here. You guys can see the equal high we have here. Relatively equal high, not a perfect equal high though. Liquidity is lying here. So then we have, um, I can also consider this particular low here. So on the 15 minutes, I can trade internally. Now, I don't want to take a short position here because of the liquidity line here. But what I would consider is this. If I have a clear of this liquidity and this demand zone or this supply zone holds, then comes back to break this particular structure we have here, then yes, I want to look for a trade here to take it lower. So I want to look for a trade at this particular point. So you will see that I'm saying if this happens, then I want to do this. All right. Again, if we have this demand zone hold because it's sweeping liquidity from here and it breaks this structure that will be formed, because if this is respected from here, then this becomes a break of structure when this comes down. Then I want to look for a demand, a supply zone above, and take a short position to take this Asian low. Then that will be my trade for my day trade for today. That is if this happens. But if the other one happens, let's say this happens. If this happens, we have this happening, we have this one break this way, then I want to look for a demand zone here and take this trade higher to this particular zone. So this will be where I want to take a trade from. So if we have a break this way, sweeping out this liquidity with a proper break, I want to look for a demand zone at the bottom and simply place my trade, simply place a long position from that point and go higher to this point. So this is what I'll be looking at for day trade for Euro USD. A day trade is simply, I want to see here broken, I take it up, or I want to see here tapped into, I'll break down, and I want to take a short position down. On the swing trade, I want to see this region and this region. Whichever one is broken first, I'll know the direction I'm going to take for my trade. So this is for Euro USD. If you're new and you're wondering what these lines are, these are just the sessions. There's the New York session, the Asian session, and the London session, customized to my own um, trading time, basically. So that is for Euro USD. We're going to go straight to trading, and like I said on this Discord last week, I'll be dropping a lot of these setups. Once it is formed, I'm going to drop it, and you see where I'm actually doing the entry from on Discord. I'll do that the whole of this week because I think I have more time this week compared to other weeks. So this is GBP JPY, GBP USD. What are we seeing on GBP USD? So I'm going to clear the whole of this again, and we start a top-down analysis, starting from the weekly time frame. Usually, I'm meant to start this with the dollar index. Maybe next week we'll do that. We'll go to the dollar index first before coming to do any of our analysis. So what am I seeing here? It is the same thing I'm going to do here. I won't mark from the top. I'll just go ahead and mark my possible trading range, which is this top and this bottom. So if I draw this, which I don't think is too far, this is actually liquidity at this point, meaning that this might actually come back here. So if I draw this here, and this is the top. So this top forms my range for this week. Okay. Again, we can either go down from here or we go we go up from here. But this is looking very bullish. You can see it's looking very bullish on the weekly web. had a green candle, possibly we'll have a green candle going up to take out this particular high. Then we'll go to the daily to see what we can find on the daily. On the daily, our range is still there, but we can see more information. So we have had this movement upward here. We've had structure broken. We first formed liquidity here, move up, took it out, form another liquidity here that has not been taken out. Okay, so we have liquidity here, which tells me at some points we're going to come down to take this liquidity into this particular order block we have here on the daily time frame. But that is not our concern now. Our concern is here. But even on the daily, you can see that we have liquidity here at this point. It's a little liquidity sweep, a tiny liquidity sweep here. But I'm going to refine it more when we get to the um, lower time frame. Okay, so um, what do we have? So this particular low, so we have a high, a low, a high. This is not a low. However, let's mark it, but this actually made this particular low. So yes, I'm still going to consider this. So we have a break this way, then I want to go higher this way. So yes, so this break should be valid for us to go higher to this particular point if we break it. Now, 4 hours. So 4 hours, we can still see that thief equal highs. From this point, they are just relative equal high. So I'm going to mark it out as liquidity from here actually, as liquidity line above this point. So let's just, we have liquidity line above this point. On the 4 hours, um, even though we can say this is more like a sweep, because this is actually a sweep at this point, this demand zone we have down here has not been taken. We have a demand zone at this bottom here. I like to extend it all the way down. It is still left untouched. Even this one here is still not touched. Again, our trading range is between here and here, which I think is pretty much actually. So what am I expecting? So what am I expecting? This is similar to what we have when I was explaining Euro USD. We have this top here. We have this bottom. We want to see a break out of this range on the 4 hour. Break out of the range. and go higher. But we have a demand zone actually here. If we tap into the demand zone, we can actually go lower from this particular point. We can actually do go lower. If we take this liquidity that is lying here into this demand zone, it means that we can go ahead and go lower. Where are you? We can go ahead and go lower if we take that liquidity into this demand zone. However, our low is not going to be confirmed until we break this structure to the downside, of course. If we take this demand zone and we break structure to the downside, then we're going to keep going lower. This is scenario one. Scenario two is that we come all the way down, then take this demand we have here, then we can go higher. Actually, so in this case, I'm not saying when you break out of a range, you also have to consider, are you breaking into an efficient zone, or are you breaking into an order block? It's a demand and supply zone. If you're breaking into an order block, you might want to wait for a reversal. But if you are breaking into an efficient range, then you might want to continue in that particular direction. So what I'm saying is that if we break down this way and we break out of this block and break down this way, it's an efficient range. Then it's simply saying that yes, we can continue going lower. But I want to get more clarity on this. So therefore, we're going to go down to the 1 hour to see what can possibly happen. In this 1 hour now, I'm going to take a different range now. This here has been already tapped into. So I'm still going to mark a different range within for the swing trade. So this top and this top will now become our possible targets. So I'm taking this particular range here. So I'm taking this upper boundary and the lower boundary as well. And also the lower boundary. So this is the lower boundary. This has been a choppy market so far in this range. Well, we've seen a lot of choppy market in this range. If you look at here, beside this block we have here, this place looks pretty efficient. And we have another block at this particular point. Okay, so I'm still going to play the same game, right? If we break out, then I want to go lower. But you want to go lower if you are seeing an order block there. If you are seeing an order block to go lower from. And again, I want to, if I'm going higher, I want to break out of this particular candle here. Then I can look for trade at the bottom to go higher. This will be my trade for GBP USD for today, but I find more clarity with this particular one with Euro USD down with GBP USD. However, as it develops, I'll look more into it. On the 15 minutes, what can we see? So I'm going to maintain pretty much the same thing on the 15 minutes because we have efficiencies here. We also have efficiencies here. So there's no really, I'm not seeing any um, demand or supply zone within this particular zone. So I'm going to wait for one to form first before I start considering trade. Unlike the Euro USD where we have, it's clearer on Euro USD now I have on GBP USD. So then again, for this is still a waiting game. Let's try USD JPY. So I've actually for this particular trade, you see here, this is because I was looking at it even before we started. This is simply what I'm looking for to play out. A limb, a sell. I'm expecting this to come into this order block for a buy, and we go higher and target these points. I've actually placed a limit order on this. So this is my basically my plan for USD JPY. But let's start with top down analysis again. So maybe you see how we'll got to this particular point. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the weekly. So we start again. This is the weekly. What is our range? What is our range? Mind you, each candle here represents what happens in 1 week. So our range is, I'll basically take this top here. This top, because if you look at this, we're basically in the middle of nowhere with regards to these other highs and lows. We're not at the bottom here, we're not at the top here. We are basically in the middle. So I'm going to take this upper boundary here and mark it. I like to use the dash line to mark my weekly. Then here we have, here you can see an imbalance here. It's a fair value gap on the weekly. So because of that, I'm not going to take this bottom. I'm going to consider this here. I'm going to consider the top of this demand zone we have here. That is what I'm going to consider. So I'm considering here and considering here. So I can then remove this actually. So this is my range for this particular week. You can see these are weekly candles. This. So I don't even expect the candle for today to actually exceed or pass this, because it's pretty for the past month. USD JPY has been trading just between a particular range, forming just basically dojis. What can we see on the daily time frame? There's still really not much on the daily time frame. What I can see here is that we have been breaking structure to the upside. So we have a break of structure to the upside. We had another break into past a demand zone to the upside, which means that we should keep on going high. Well, however, I would like to see to go higher. I like to see this demand zone here tap into before we go higher. But that is actually on the daily time frame. On the 4 hours, on the 4 hours, I think this should be like one of those news candles. Anyway, so on the 4 hours, what are we seeing? Um, we had a sweep of this all the way down, and but here we are having a break of structure to the upside here. So I'm going to mark here out we are having a break or structure this way to the upside. Okay, and this candle originated it, this particular one, this candle before this fair value gap. We didn't tap into it. Above here, let me just remove this one. Above here, we have a demand zone that's going to be our target. I see this demand zone getting broken. Why? Because we've had a break of this particular zone here to the upside. Okay, and tap into the demand zone. We came lower. So I see it's being taken, but however, it's not my concern. My concern is to trade to that particular point because it's going to take a long time for that to actually happen. So we're going to go down to the 1 hour time frame and see what is possibly happening. This particular movement lower, I want to see it happen, but of course it's not going to happen at this particular time. So what do we have? On the 1 hour, I can actually refine this way and investigate. Again, this origin that we have here, the supply zone, sorry, the demand zone we have here, is here to be taken. So these are the possibilities of what can happen. Possibilities are that we come to this point, come lower, and go higher. That is one possibility. Another possibility is that we come to this high, then break this low, then we can actually now go lower to that particular to fill that big high time, the high time frame demand zone before actually then moving higher. These are the scenarios that we can actually see happen on the lower time frame, on the higher time frame. But for now, what am I looking at? So we have a strong move upward. It's a pity we didn't tap into this zone. This would have been a high probability. If we had tapped into this zone, then it becomes the probability that we're going to break this is now high. But this move upward is not coming from any demand zone. So therefore, this might actually not get broken, but go lower. Okay? That is why we might not be bothered about trying to, target above it. Then we have another demand zone here at this particular point that is not also taken. I'm going to go down to the 15 minutes and just tell you why I'm considering this trade. Okay, so why we have a above here we have a demand. So I can actually refine this further to this way. So we have a supply above here, and that might likely hold. The reason it might likely hold is because we have a demand here that has not been tapped into, and this particular movement upward is just coming from practically nowhere. So it might likely hold. But I'm not going to place a trade this way and say because it's going to hold, I'm going to take a short position from here. Or rather, before I can take a short position from here, I want to see a confirmation entry. In other words, confirmation entry this way, then this will be where I want to take a short position from if I'm considering taking a short from here. because of course I'm saying it's not gonna, is my hold is likely to hold, it might not still hold. If it breaks, then we'll not consider a new possible entry to keep on trading UJ. But for now, this is what I'm looking at. So we are having a demand zone here on the 15 minutes. You see, I marked the whole, I think I marked this on the 1 hour actually. So I'm considering the whole of this. Oh, so let me go to the 30 minutes so you see. So I'm considering the whole of this going down. So I'm expecting that we have a tap downwards to here and we go higher, giving us a risk reward of 3.9, which is pretty good, 3.97. If this goes, I won't be bothered, right? So you might wonder, what if this didn't tap into here? If it didn't tap into here, then it's not my trade. I'll just wait, look for another trade. I mustn't trade every setup. It must actually fit into the narrative or the plan I have. If it doesn't, then I'm not taking a trade with regards to it. So this is my plan for today. I think I'll just go ahead and drop this on Discord after this class. Which one are we looking at again? Let's look at GJ. We can look at GJ. We can look at um, USD card. We can look at gold before we get into crypto. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and look at gold. Then we'll do Bitcoin and one other crypto, and I'll let you guys tell me. Let you guys tell me the other assets you want me to look at. So this is actually the plan we had for GBP JPY last week. This happened on Friday. I didn't take this trade, but this gave this didn't give us a perfect confirmation entry because this is the demand zone we wanted to trade out of because we have liquidity here and we saw a tap into that zone. So for risk entry, this would have been a very good trade. For confirmation entry, let's look at it. So we had a drop down here, then we had this, we had a movement upward here. So this would actually be for confirmation entry, this would have been where we'll consider an entry from right here. But the thing is that this is happening. Of course, I'll be trading at this time. So definitely this is not my trade, but this did happen as we envisaged it to happen. But it's a new week. Let's start from the daily again. Oh, there's something I haven't looked at today, which is I always try to look at this is a Forex factory. Let's see if there are news coming out today. So today is Monday. For the major currencies that I trade, pair with the dollar, there is no news on them today. We're not bothered about news that happening today. Okay, so I'm going to look at the weekly again. Okay, so um, GJ, what is our trading range? I'm still going to maintain this and this. I think I marked this last week, but the only movement we had last week is just this movement. And yes, we did sweep into this liquidity because we had a liquidity from here to this particular point, and we tap into that liquidity, and it seems that we're heading to eventually break it. On the daily time frame, what do we have? Now, the things I like to mark out is, yeah, maybe for those who are just attending my lives. In trading, what I like to mark out, I look at the structure, market structure. Where are we having a break of structure to? And you also have to understand the difference between break of structure and liquidity sweep, because a lot of people get it wrong. The difference between liquidity sweep and break of structure. Some people call break of structure liquidity sweep and liquidity sweep break of structure. Just call them the same thing. They are actually different. So you have to know the difference between them. Then another thing that I look at is the supply and demand zone. And if we have liquidity lying around, all these things will form the basis of where I'm going to take a trade from. That is just basically what I look at on a trade. Of course, you have to make sure that you don't have any fundamental or economic events coming out to actually disrupt your trade. So on the daily, I'm still not seeing much because we haven't had any break to this upside, maybe a break to the downside. We have swept past that point. So this is no longer considered for us to go short. I'll just go ahead and go straight to the 4 hour time frame to see if we can find any meaningful thing there. So this must be a news candle. News candle came, swept all this one, and swept into this low. Even did an actual, okay, this is still a liquidity sweep, not a break of structure. That happened. We didn't tap into this other block. Then we went all the way up. And right now, we have actually done the same thing here. We have swept liquidity at this particular point. No break of structure yet. So what do we then do? Okay. On the 4 hour time frame for a GJ, I'm just gonna because the market has been ranging in between here. We've been ranging between here, up here, I'm gonna mark here up, and this low. This is the range we're having. This market can go any way. So I always say to do this. If we have a break here, then I want to go and target here. Okay, let's go left and see where did I draw this candle from. Okay, so this is actually, yes, this is a supply zone here. So if I break above, then I want to go higher. And if I break below, if I break below here, then I simply want to go lower. Lower on the 4 hours. But right now we're just ranging in this point. It doesn't mean that we can't find trades inside here, because this is 4 hour candle, right? We can still actually find trade inside here. That is why we go to the 1 hour to see, can we find trades inside here? So what can I find here? So I can see that equal highs are liquidity. Just know that. So this is an equal high. So equal high and liquidity mean that the market price will always come back there to take it. Liquidity telling me that price is gonna come back here to take this particular zone. Okay? Or at least sweep it. Then at this bottom, this movement going upward here is coming from this demand zone here. So we tapped into a demand zone, but however, I won't consider this a demand zone because there's no break of structure anywhere. So this is hard to call a break of structure unless we're considering this movement downward, then up and down. Then we can now say, okay, maybe this is a break of structure here, even though it's tiny. But wait, just hold on. Let's do a quick rundown to 10 minutes time frame and see. So yeah, so we can actually consider it. Yeah, so we have a break. So yeah, we do have a break of structure. So at this point here, we have a break of structure here. I'm just gonna go back to the 1 hour. That is where we were for our swing trade. So yes, here we have a break of structure. We saw it clearly on the lower time frame. So this made this demand zone hold. So that's why the demand zone hold, and the target is here at this top. Now, if you look at this point, there's really no. If you look at this movement, there's really no inefficiencies anywhere. It's all efficient movements. If you look at this side, this is the only inefficiency I'm seeing here. Okay, if that is the inefficiency, then this zone here, from here to this point, this candle before this inefficiency, the fair value gap we have here, will be what we call resistance. That is your supply zone, right? So it just means that this might hold, or if we see it broken, like if this is broken, we have broken out of this demand zone, then we can say we're going higher to attack higher. We can go higher to attack higher. So the other reason why we can consider going lower, right? There's really no demand. There's really no demand zone here. The other reason why we can consider going lower and breaking out of this range is if we start seeing structure breaking to the downside from here, from this one, then we can now start considering going lower. So let's now see if we can see that. It's not clear on the 1 hour. We still have to go lower. So let's go to the 15 minutes to see that. So we have a low coming from here, made a high. We have another low here. This didn't make a high. We made a high here, made a low here. Then this same candle made a high, made a bunch of lows here. So we had a high and we didn't make any other low until this particular one. So we are having a break to the downside. And if we look here all the way this way, if you look all this way, let me use this other stuff. If we consider all the candle we have here, right, we're not having any inefficiencies. We're not having any inefficiencies. They are all being taken. The only one that we are seeing here is this particular one. This one. Oh, not that one. We have one here. We have one at this particular point because this has not been taken. Because we have a tiny fair value gap at this point. Okay, so this now become our target. And from what I'm seeing here, since we have a breakout structure, since we're coming from this zone, this demand here, it seems to be holding because we have a break. And that break broke the whole of this. downward. Is a VOS. So I'm just going to remove this one. Then the next one I'll be considering is this particular zone. So this is my demand zone now. So it means that what should I target? I should look at this short position from here, take it slightly above, then I can start targeting this particular zone here. So this is a 3.98 risk reward. So this is what I want to, how I want to take this trade, this particular trade, taking a short position on GJ. If we tap into this zone, you want to see this ticking down all the way down to this next demand zone. This is what I consider for a trade on on GJ. So now I've done that. Let's just go straight to the. Let's go straight to Bitcoin. Let's do Bitcoin and do one other cryptocurrency. Then I'll just take a few coins from you guys, a few assets from you guys. Want to look at. Oh, we're not done good. No, no. Let's do. I'm gonna do everything, but I'll be dropping a lot of setup on Discord. I'm dropping setups today on Discord. So if you're on Discord, you see screenshots of these things and more trades that I'm taking this very day. Let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we're going to start again on the weekly time frame. Why is it showing like this? We'll start on the daily. I don't go far back as weekly on Bitcoin because it doesn't have as much historical um, history as the forex market. Forex markets, I think since 1973, we have been doing this. Retailers came into the forex market in the mid 1990s. So forex 1973, crypto, Bitcoin 2010. It's a long time. So what are we looking at for Bitcoin? Yesterday, I mean last week, which was on Thursday last week, we hit the latest Bitcoin new time high, 124,000. That is its latest all-time high. And immediately after that, it just started crashing. It started crashing. But if you look at the bigger picture still on the 1 hour, we are still really bullish on Bitcoin. Okay, we're still bullish. We're making higher highs and higher lows. We have a low here, a high, a low, a high. Yeah, it's a high. I have a low here, a high, a low again, another high. So we are pretty much making higher highs and higher lows on Bitcoin. So we are still bullish. We'll become bearish on Bitcoin when we start breaking the lows that we have made. So start breaking this low. If we start breaking the lows that we have made, that's when we start becoming, we break this low. Then if we break this low, that is when we now know, okay, we're hit 70 something, then we are truly in the bear market for Bitcoin. Because these on the higher time frame are still possible areas for Bitcoin to actually reverse from. On the higher time frame, these are still zone for Bitcoin to react from. So I won't be bearish on Bitcoin until we break this particular low, which is the 74,000 mark. Then we can now say, you know what, we're no longer in the bull season, we're in the bear season. But right now, the way it is, we're still in the bull season, clearly. So, what are we seeing? Or if Bitcoin is going to be like gold, gold is crazy. Gold is up only. Let me just show you guys gold again. Gold has been up only. It's good on the daily. Yeah, so we're ranging around this time, but look at, man, just look at gold. It's more like we're just up only. Gold, right from time, is one of the oldest assets, right? Older than Forex itself, basically the first form of money, and it's been bullish right from time. Anyway, back to Bitcoin. So we have, what do we have here? We still have a break of structure here. This is, I won't consider this a prime break of structure. Why? Because this is just a sweep. So on the day, you can see that this is a liquidity sweep. This is the last high, and we had a sweep here because we didn't have the body of the candle breaking this. We just have it tap into, sweep whatever you have here, and it's descending. So it's descending, meaning that um, I should be considering this particular order block we have here. This one. I like to take it from the black candle all the way down. So on the higher time frame, this is what I'll be considering that Bitcoin, even if you're trading sports, you should consider buying again when we hit the 108 uh, mark. Maybe that's where we'll go higher from, right? But of course, there are a lot of nuances to it. This is another demand zone. Okay, this is another demand zone, possible area. But of course, I'll always say this. Let's say you're doing this kind of trades, you wouldn't want to just buy here or buy here. You always want to wait for a confirmation entry on the lower time frame. So this is daily. Let's say you want to wait for confirmation. You're looking for confirmation on the 4 hours or the 1 hour. What do I mean by confirmation? You want to see this happen on the lower time frame. You want to see this happen. Then this become the point where you start saying, I want to buy into this. Okay? The same thing happens here. This is what you want to do for confirmation. But anyway, we're not doing trading on daily. We're looking for day trades for today and for this week. Looking for day trades for today and for this week. Let me go ahead and do some housekeeping. I'm going to clean this off. All these places, let me clean them off. So again, what the only thing I can see on the daily is the one we have liquidity has been swept here. I won't call it a break of structure because we didn't break structure. We just had liquidity sweep here. And when we sweep liquidity, we usually go and break lower. So yes, we have a demand zone here, but I seriously doubt it will hold. What I'm feeling is this coming down to this point. Then here, we want to see a confirmation to take it higher. That is what I can just decipher on the daily time frame. Let's go to the 4 hours, straight to the 4 hours. Straight to the 4 hours. What can we see? So on the 4 hour, we have, okay, on the 4 hours, you can see that this is also a sweep of liquidity. It's also a sweep of liquidity. It's not showing us a break. It's not like telling us I'm still going higher. It's telling us, you know what, I've taken out some people and I want to go lower. This is what it's showing us here. And you can see that we had a break of structure here because this high led to this low, and we have a high, and we came down and broke it. And we didn't go back to this particular zone, but we had a supply zone out here. So it has a supply zone at this point, a supply zone at this point. And you can see that Bitcoin almost tap into it. One thing I noticed with crypto market, they don't always tap into their zone the way forex market did. So it almost came into it. So I'm still going to consider it. If we're considering this candle, the candle before it, let's see, do we have a proper tap? If we're considering this candle, so almost a tap. Let me see. Hold on. So almost a tap. Didn't tap, but almost a tap, and it kept going lower. But with Fibonacci, let's see with Fibonacci, do we have any reasonable thing with Fibonacci? Yeah, Fibonacci clearly came into the 6-2 and the 705 zone. Stochastic RSI also confirmed this move. So we had a break of structure, another break to the downside. So on this time frame. So we have a break this way. It's another break. Let me just use this. We have another break this way. Proper break of structure with this wicked bearish candle. Okay. So, what is supply zone that we are seeing? I'm looking at this black candle, right? Before the fair value gap is the area I want to consider a sell from. What do I mean? We'll move higher, tap into this zone, and we'll move lower. That is what I want to consider a sell from, right? Or just target this particular, or simply just target this zone. However, just the way we have this move downward from here this way. We didn't come back to this zone. We just came back to this particular zone here, and that's where we drop down from. So the same thing, we might see a break this way. Then we might see a little price action. We'll not see something like this and something we can tap into to go lower. Of course, that is if this zone is not holding, because I expect this zone to hold. I just I'm expecting to see a sweep of all this and see this zone as a zone that is on hold. So for Bitcoin on the short time frame, maybe 4 hourly, we're looking. Um, I'm being quite bearish. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. I'm also remove this one. So let's go to the 1 hour and see what trade are we looking at. But the thing is, we are coming into a demand zone. This is demand zone. So before this can hold, we want to see if this is going to hold. We want to see this pattern, a confirmation pattern, to see it hold. But because even though we are bearish, we can still go higher to tap into this and continue being bearish, right? So we want to see a confirmation pattern here to hold. That said, let's move straight to the 1 hour time frame and see what are we getting here. How can we get into Bitcoin? You guys can see me having the stochastic RSI here at the bottom of my chart. It's also what I use for confirmation. Beside the confirmation entry, I also use it for to get confirmation when I get to an area of interest. So after Bitcoin, I just have like 15 minutes more to be on this call with you guys. So you can drop the whether be it a forex asset or be it a crypto asset, just drop it in the chat. I'm going to take the first two that I see and look at it and end this stream. Okay, So we are still on Bitcoin. Break of structure to the downside, break to the downside. We are in a demand zone and we are here. So I think it's basically a waiting game for me. I'm still going to draw out this. Are we going to go higher? Are we going to go lower? I still want this to interact with this particular zone. Then on this time frame, I really don't want to, okay, yeah. So I want to consider this zone here. So I'm having this zone as my, you know, the high and the low. I want to see a break out of this zone. Or we just, maybe today, just for it to wait out Bitcoin to see what it does. What will it do inside this zone? Is it going to break out? If it breaks out, want to keep going lower. If it breaks up, you want to go high to pick an order from here. Maybe it's just wait on Bitcoin this very day. Let's go to 15 minutes because I'm not seeing any clarity of which direction to go to on the 1 hour. On the 15 minutes, we have some choppiness here. Um, no break of structure down. It's still liquidity sweep all the way high. But okay, this is now the zone I'm going to look at for Bitcoin. You see this zone up here? This is the this is the supply that led to this movement downwards. We haven't had any breakdown. It's just liquidity sweep. So for this trade to go higher, I want to see a break above this. Then we can use Fibonacci and take the trade higher to this point. But if we don't see that happen and we see a breakdown, we might just keep going down. So I'm not going to place a trade on Bitcoin until I see any of this happen. Then it becomes clearer to me. So we have a lot of coins here. Someone look at XRP. It's been ages since I look at XRP. XRP, Wave, Aave, Solana, Gold, ETH. Um, so I'm just going to take the first two, XRP and Wave. XRP and Wave. Even though I don't trade any of them. Let's do XRP. Do I have XRP here? So I'm going to go to XRP. XRP, I'm going to start from the um, let me clear this old chart. I think I was looking at SRP earlier this year. So I'm going to clear this old chart and see what we're having from XRP. Um, Hold on. Weekly, crypto too as well. Mm. So XRP also broke an all-time high. Wow. XRP also did break its all-time high to give us a 3.66 or 667 price. Well, so we actually have a breakout structure on the higher time frame, which means that it might still be bullish on XRP on the long time, on the long run. But the way we are seeing it now, it has broken structure to the downside because it has taken this out on the daily. It took this out, this one out here, and came up. It didn't get to this demand zone, but then crypto always don't do that. But it got to this series here. From this series, it tapped into it. So I think for XRP, if you look at the bottom, this might be the zone we should consider. This particular zone is might be where we want to hold. Okay, if we are still bullish on XRP, we want to have this region hold, break down this way, and keep going. I want to see a confirmation entry if it's going to keep going higher. Okay, it's possible move for XRP. If it's going to keep going higher, it needs to come down to this zone. Well, this is what we have. It looks bearish, right? Here it's all just a liquidity sweep, not break of structure. The break we have is to the downside. So we're going to go to the 4 hours. 4 hours, what do I see? The same pretty thing. Same pretty thing. We have a break upward, right? We have this, a break, and we're just going down. We want to keep going down on XRP. So it means that we'll have to start looking for where we take short positions from. Okay? This is a fourth holding here. This is already into this region. And okay, we're actually in a demand zone actually. Just the way we're in a demand zone with Bitcoin. This candle here is a demand zone. I really doubt it's going to hold, but it's obviously a demand zone. But the how bearish it is, I don't think it's gonna hold. So we had a break and a retracement, another break. If I'm meant to mark out a demand, a supply at above this is supply here. But then again, I really doubt it's gonna hold. I really doubt that the market will retrace to this point. What I will expect is maybe a break further down, a small movement upwards, a breakdown, then that would become where we take the trade from to take it to this particular zone. That's what I would expect from XRP, right? But we're gonna mark all these things out. We'll mark everything out before we start making our decision on which one is gonna hold, which one is not gonna hold, and all that. So I'm gonna go back to mark out the supplies and I have above here. Is a supply. And the way, because of the way crypto behaves, I can extend it to cover this particular low. Okay, that's all we have. And if I go lower, these are all efficient zone. Maybe apart from this. So the other demand I have is from this, the whole of this is my, let's see, Euro USD. So I have an alert at this point. So Euro USD is attacking this particular point. So what I want to see from Euro USD, I want to see it break properly. Then this here, so I'm gonna go back to USD. This here looks like zone, a good zone for demand. But I want to see what happens with this candle. It might just be something like this, and we take the trade from here to go lower. That's it's what I want to see. But let me just wait for it to really form. It might be a trade in New York if we don't see a trade in London, because in the next 2 minutes we are in London. Back to what I was doing with Bitcoin, be wary. Or XRP rather. Where are you? Okay, XRP. So this is a demand I want to also um, look at, which I really believe is not going to hold because we're looking forward to see it broken more to the downside. But we're just going to mark it out. So what I want to do is to um, possible cases is we have this go here and break down. Another possible movement is to have this break it down this way, take here and come down to this particular region. I'm going to go down to the 4 hours, to the 1 hour now, and see what can we find on the 1 hour. And the 1 hour for XRP. Okay, for XRP, it's just the same thing. It's the same thing. I want to wait. I want to wait. So what I'm seeing is, um, so we have this stop here. If I'm meant to go higher, if I'm meant to go higher for XRP, let's say I want to go out and attack here. If we see this, if we see this candle breaks this, of course, on the lower time frame, I want to take this up to this point. If not, if this candle keeps breaking lower, if this candle keeps breaking lower, I want to keep trading lower. So for this, we are also doing a waiting game. On the 15 minutes, it becomes quite clearer. So this is that top that I marked out. So before I can consider going higher to this point, this candle has to, price has to break this structure here. So I can go ahead and place an alert on this particular on that particular line to tell me that okay, it is broken and I want to go higher on it. Other than this, we might just keep going lower. We just keep going lower. If it keeps breaking lower, then we'll keep going lower. It's as simple as that. I might not want to consider taking a short position in this region unless I'm going down maybe to the 5 minutes or 2 minutes to just take a scalp because we are in a demand zone. If we are not in a demand zone, I might consider, probably pulling out my Fibonacci and saying, um, marking out a supply zone or pulling out my Fibonacci and waiting for a confirmation entry from the stochastic RSI below before I take a trade to go down further below. So that is that for XRP. I'm going to look at one more coin, which is WIF by Bosvik. Bosvik. WIF again. It's not a coin I trade. We're going to look at it. WIF. Dog with heart. Coins. Meme coins. Okay, I think I did the analysis on it. Sometimes for people on Discord, I think I did some analysis on it some time ago. Let's see how it went. Okay. We're expected to tap into this zone. Yeah. So we went, but you know, I don't know why crypto don't always. It's a good trade. And we kept going lower. Then The point was to hit this zone and go higher. We didn't hit this zone, but we did go higher before everything now broke off. I'm going to clear all this. Um, we start again from the daily. On the daily, classic meme coin. Do you think that Wave will ever get back to its all-time high? I don't think it's going to do that. It's far off from its all-time high. It's it will be rare. It will be rare, like really really rare. Because man, it will be really really super rare for ways to see Wave at this point ever again. Because we have very strong meme coins like Doge. Doge is I think Wave was when it had its run actually. Had its run. Okay, on the daily, we're not considering what has happened above. Um, this is a supply zone here, but we are like far off from that supply zone. Don't want to look at it at this point. Okay, you guys okay? Okay. So what is the trading range I'm going to consider? One, we have a demand zone here. So I want to mark the top of that demand zone this way. Top of the demand zone here. Okay. Then um, we also have a small demand zone here. So I'm also going to mark the top as our range for wave. This is my range for wave. Then go to the 4 hours. So for swing and day trade for this week, I want to trade within this particular range, here and here. It can go either way. We're going down to see which way is it going to go. So we've seen that we had a rally up this way. Then I think we're coming out of this supply zone and we broke structure downwards. We have broken structure this way to the downside. Here, which means that we should be bearish for wave. The broad structure, this shoots past this demand zone, but it had a liquidity sweep this way. So I'm expecting wave to do another because we have equal liquidity here. We have equal. It's actually a perfect equal liquidity here. So I'm expecting wave. Um, this is zone I should consider if we have a break of structure. It's a supply zone I should consider. So I'm expecting wave to actually come lower. Take this, give us a break of structure. Then if you had a demand zone from here, take it from here lower. If there is no demand zone from here, then we'll want to still go lower and come back to our demand a supply zone here to go lower. That's what I'm seeing on the 4 hours. So on the 1 hour, what can we see on the 1 hour? On the 1 hour, I'm seeing more of a confirmation. So it is small, but I can still consider it as high, low. These are the heights. It's high, low, high. So this is a clear. What I'm trying to get to is that we still have a clear break of structure to the downside. And I can now refine this my zone to actually include this particular candle here, because this is where we have the fair value gap at this point. We have a fair value gap at this particular point. Okay. So just like I said, for width, we can have, if we have this, I'll still want to consider this to go lower. Okay. Scenario one. Scenario two, we can go lower, have a break structure here, but have a strong demand zone here. Of course, this all this candle has to finish forming before we consider it. Then now want to take it this way to this point to actually go lower. What is going to be my target? I'm going to look left to see. I can actually be target this particular zone. This will be a very sweet trade to give me a lot of a high risk reward ratio. It might take, this is swing trade, so it might take the whole of the week to play out if we get this. If this gives us this today, this might take the whole of the week to play out, but it will be a very good trade to see. For day trade, we're looking at what trade can we take today and close it up today. We are now in the London zone. So yeah, it's what I've my analysis stands for day trade for WIF. What is the analysis? So we have this top and the double bottom we're having here. So if we have a breakdown, I want to keep going down. If I have a breakdown, I want to look for a supply zone. There's actually no supply zone here. I want to look at a supply zone and keep going down. Okay, but if we have, remember, this is a zone. If we go back to the 1 hour, if you go back to the 1 hour, this is a zone I'd like us to come down from. Okay. So if we on the 15 minutes now, if you have a break above this, if we have a break, a demand zone here to take it higher to this point, maybe to this particular, target this particular one and leave this one, target this one, then we might possibly go down from here. But I'm only interested in trading from here to here. I'm not interested in what is happening. Before I consider going lower, I have to go back maybe to the 1 hour and see, make sure the conditions are right before I take that. So that is WIF. So today we have done analysis on Euro USD. We have a sweep here. GBP USD, USD JPY. Okay, well, I'm tapping into that zone right now. GJ is strong. We didn't get an entry here. We didn't do good, but we've done what is it called? XRP. So that is it. I'm dropping more setups on Discord today of all the trade I'm going to be taking. And remember, we're looking forward to at least a risk reward ratio of of 3, and I don't try to do 70% win rate. If I have a risk reward ratio of 3 and I'm targeting only a 50 to 60% win rate, I'm a very profitable trader. So see you guys. Um, next, maybe I'll do this next week again, or I'm going to do this on YouTube and live like this. 2 more days on next week, maybe Monday and Wednesday. But the rest of the day will continue the way we do it within our private community. Have a very successful trading week. Bye, everyone.